This is on behalf of Chloe Jones, the victim in this case. My name is Chloe Jones. A year ago, I was homeless and I came to you because you promised me shelter and safety. But that isn't what happened. You held me captive for 4 days, beat me within an inch of my life, strangled me, poured gasoline on me, and told me that you would burn me alive. Continually threatened to kill me. You made sure that I knew my life was fully in your hands and that you had complete control over me. You strangled me over and over again and told me, don't pass out. If you pass out, I'll cut your throat. All that time, all I could think about was my son and that I would never see him again. In fact, you promised me that I would never see him again and that I would never make it out of this alive. You held me under the constant threat of death by holding a knife to my throat. What happened to me over the course of those 4 days has changed me forever, not only mentally, but physically. Because of you, I have a traumatic brain injury that I will forever suffer the effects of. Because of you, I battle anxiety and PTSD, night terrors. Even in my sleep, I get no rest. It is an effort just to go outside, constantly fearing that this will happen to me again. But know that I will continue to live my life. You no longer have power over me, and I am the one in control. After this day, you will go to prison, and I will go back to my son, my family, and those who love me. I will continue to grow and live and heal despite what you...
She was meeting up with the defendant for something brief, maybe a night. Your Honor, that changed very abruptly. What initially was an encounter with William Mozingo, conversation in this garage owned by Mr. Mozingo's friends, Christine and Michael Scott, soon turned into a very aggressive speech and conversation. Chloe Jones was subjected to paranoia by the defendant and continual threats. Most importantly, her liberty was restricted by Mr. Mozingo very early on during her times in that garage. Your Honor, he started off agitated, and the state can say that with confidence because we do have those videos that were found and extracted from the defendant's phone. He took selfies and videos of himself as he berated Chloe Jones, as he threatened her, and eventually he restricted her from moving. After demanding that she not move and controlling her every step, the defendant assaulted Chloe Jones over the course of 4 days. What you're looking at, Your Honor, on the screen is Chloe as she had just emerged. Your Honor, we have temporary disfigurement as part of the Ohio Revised Code for serious physical injury. And Your Honor, the state submits to you, this is a prime example of someone who has suffered temporary disfigurement. She has one eye that is completely shut. The EMTs that dealt with her that day on the scene notated that she had pus in that eye. The other eye is almost nearly shut. As you can see, so much blood had accumulated in both of those eyes. There are videos on the defendant's phone that were extracted where he talks about her eye and then threatens to beat her in the other eye. Your Honor, as you can see, that's 2 separate beatings right there. Now, Chloe was seen at the hospital. She was admitted. She had a fractured nasal bone. She had a fractured bone in her hand. She had traumatic cephalohematoma. She had a traumatic brain injury, subdural hematoma, multiple contusions across her legs, her arms, her chest. She was swollen from the top of her head all the way down. If you look closely, Chloe appears to have a golden glow to her face. Your Honor, those are bruises to the entirety of both sides of her face and her cheeks. She suffered facial paralysis. She had bruising to both sides of her face near her ear, and her ear had blood in them. Your Honor, she was beat within an inch of her life. As Chloe's mom has stated, The defendant has been previously convicted of abduction in Adams County and Stark County. He was also most recently charged with kidnapping in Stark County in 2020, and he pled to aggravated assault, a felony of the 4th degree.
He, I believe, agreed that the 2 kidnappings and the abduction, they would merge for the purposes of sentencing. They talk about the felonious assaults being the various different injuries. She did have a broken 5th metacarpal on her left hand. She did have a broken nose. She did have a subdural hematoma. But to say that they happened at different times over the course of 4 days, or we would say 3 days, but regardless, I don't think that they can show that that happened. I mean, frankly, Judge, if these injuries happened when my client hit her with a baseball bat and that caused her broken nose, and she's trying to defend herself and that causes the broken wrist and that causes a subdural hematoma, that's one animus. So if he slapped her on day 2, that's not a felonious assault. And if these injuries happened with the one beating with the baseball bat, that's one count of felonious assault. And I think the burden is on the state to prove that these injuries happened from separate times. Even if she was assaulted, misdemeanorly assaulted on these various different days, they have to prove that the various kinds of serious physical harm that she suffered resulted from separate animus, not at the same time. And I don't think they can show that, even if the court chooses to believe that this assault took place over a couple of days. I don't think legally that they've shown that. I think the most important video that they showed was, I think it was the 3rd one where Emily said was going to be very loud. What happens in this situation, Judge, is they are living in a garage, and there are beams 10, 12 feet up in the air, and there's plywood on those beams, and that's where they would sleep. The video that you saw, video number 3, is at one point in time, and Chloe admits this to the cops, she admits it all over the medical records, that collapses, and she falls down without able to brace herself from 12 feet up in the air. So, do injuries come from that? Well, again, I think the burden is on the state to show that these are all separate animus. I don't know if black eyes are a separate serious physical harm. I do know that if you've ever broken your nose or seen anybody with a broken nose, the eyes are impacted the same way. Judge, he does have a record. We've discussed that. You know that. What I'm asking the court to consider is, on the kidnapping, because he has the priors, give him 11 to 16 and a half. On the felonious assault, Chloe's mom said he pled guilty because he didn't want to hear her testify. In a way, that's true, but he pled guilty because he didn't want her to go through what would probably be the worst day, which is definitely the worst day of her life, frankly, on national television. I think he deserves credit for not letting her do that. I would ask you to give him 5 years on the felonious assault, and I do believe that they merge, and then 2 years on the escape. If you run those consecutive, that is 18 to 23 and a half. I think it's appropriate in this case. I think, people that murder people, Judge, in the state of Ohio, get a chance to get out at 15.
Also, we have the fractures in her hand and the bruises all over her body. I mean, I just don't see how bruises can be developed in different stages if they didn't happen in different stages. And that was what I was told today, is that the bruises were in different stages of development. So I am going to impose a sentence of 5 years on count 3 and 5 years on count 4. On count 10, and counts, I guess I should be more specific. On count 6, 7, and 8, I'm going to impose 4 years. I'm going to state that those 3 counts can be sentenced separately, but those will run concurrent with each other, but consecutive to counts 3 and 4, which will be consecutive. So we have 11 and a half, 16 and a half, plus another 10. The strangulation is the separate offense. I don't know how anybody could possibly, and the legislature went to the bother of creating a strangulation offense because of the fact that we have this activity occurring in our society right now where people think it's okay to strangle somebody. For that offense, I'm going to impose 2 years, and I'm going to impose 2 years for the escape. So that comes out to 25 to 31 and a half years. I am going to run counts 1, 2, and 5. Obviously, we said that merges. Consecutive with counts 3, consecutive with counts 4, concurrent with 6, 7, and 8, and consecutive with 10. And then the escape on the other case is consecutive by law. I will find consecutive sentences are required by statute because, first of all, for the 2-count cases, because the escape must run consecutive, but also in the kidnapping case, I believe consecutive sentences are necessary to protect the public and to punish you, and they're not disproportionate to the seriousness of your conduct and to the danger that you pose to the public. And both of these offenses were committed while you were out on post-release control, and your history of criminal conduct demonstrates consecutive terms are necessary to protect the public. I will note, as you know, you're not allowed to use drugs or alcohol while you're in prison. You may be tested for that. We calculated your jail time credit on our break. There's 394 days of jail time credit will be added to your journal entry. That starts today. Say that, I don't understand how this type of thing happens in our world today, but it does. And you're going to be in ODRC for quite a while, and there's a lot of programming available to you there. I don't know that you've spent a lot of time up until now. I don't know how much programming you actually were given up until now, but I would urge you to use this time to improve yourself and strive to understand the things that are within you that are driving you to make these types of horrible decisions, because when you get out, that's the last thing you want to do is go hurt someone else and end up back in prison for the rest of your life. So please use this time wisely, and Chloe, make sure that you take advantage of all the opportunities available to you to deal with, like you said in your letter, for you to deal with your stuff, okay? Because this could either be a life sentence for you too, or it can be something you learn and grow from and use to help others. And that's really on you, how you proceed with that. So I wish you the best and good luck with that. My staff reminded me fines and costs. I am going to waive the fines and the court costs associated with this case. You are indigent, you're going to be incarcerated, so there's no reason to try to collect those from you.
I wanted to ask you, is there any way that I can get an emergency ride out to prison? I've already been sitting in this county jail, I think 15 months now.
So the way it works is we have to do the journal entry, and the jail has to have the journal entry before they can transfer you, but we will do our best to get that done quickly. We're not behind on our journal entry, so we should get it done probably by tomorrow. If the clerk processes it, it should be in there, and by the end of the day tomorrow, the sheriff, or the next day, the sheriff should have it, and then they schedule it from there, but I don't really have any control over that. But I can tell you that I'm sure that they would love to use your bed for someone else as well, so they do move people as soon as they can. All right. Anything further? No, Your Honor.
No, Judge.
All right. Go back to you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, right.